Welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. Today it's myself, Julian, and Logan. We are the dynamic duo, and we've been away for a while, but we are back. Logan has his awesome Binge Theory mug, which you can get in our merchandising line. So go get your mug so people know that you're cool and they don't just assume it. You have proof. Anyway, Logan. So Logan's been telling us about his running. Mm-hmm. I've been telling about how I have not run, and two new series that have come out that we've been enjoying and definitely want to talk about and share with you. Be sure and leave your thoughts in the comments below because, not only is this out, but there's a lot of other things out. Let's go down the list right now. We're going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus and Miss Marvel also on Disney Plus because Disney owns everything. Except for there's also The Boys, which is on Amazon Prime, and Westworld, which is coming back. I think the first episode of this new series came out last week on HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And again, love Westworld's 1 and 2. 3 was not my cup of tea, so let's see if they can redeem themselves for 4. But we do have a commonality, and we're having both watched Obi-Wan Kenobi and Miss Marvel. So, good sir, let us dive into the Obi-Wan Kenobi, and your thoughts overall. First of all, because I definitely we haven't really spoken about it in detail, so definitely want to hear your thoughts.
So I think if I had to give a one-liner that leads into more, it's that I think it was so good it's caused more problems for Disney.
Raise the bar.
No. Well, it's raised the bar, I think, in that
it got back to the good storytelling, but I think I know what you're saying in regards to they've fleshed out so many things that now they have to kind of adjust to that. The new
there's two things there. It's so good in that I think that it will probably lend to a little bit more homogenization of some of the other shows, and that Deborah Chow, who was brilliant, directed and kind of unofficially show ran, I would imagine, all 6 episodes of this.
Right.
And having one cohesive director's voice throughout the whole thing, while Mandalorian had a lot of good episodes that were loosely tied together, this was a good show. I mean, as much as we spaced it out and watched it week after week, look, this could have been a movie. This was a 4-hour movie. Like, there was no doubt that it was that cohesive and that good. And I think if you saw it that quickly, a lot of the things you had time to nitpick from week to week would have disappeared. And look, we'd have all gotten there eventually because we would have watched it over and over again. But it wouldn't have come out quite the same as it did when you just had a week between each segment.
Logan, first of all, I got to talk about that nitpicking thing because I was, picking the Knicks. But I heard on the internet that originally this was supposed to be a new trilogy, an actual cinematic trilogy.
Trilogy would have been too much.
Probably, but come on, they would have tried.
They would have tried, and that would have ruined it, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's the other good thing I'll say about this, and that the problem for Disney is that they have another magnificent entry into a legacy character. Besides The Mandalorian.
Yes, not Boba Fett, The Mandalorian. Yes.
Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, and cross my fingers, the addition of Ahsoka, which is still pseudo-legacy a little bit because she's coming from Clone Wars and Rebels and history in a way. I think it's a problem that they can't get away from the Kenobis and the Skywalkers and the Vaders and the classic characters of that trilogy. They have to build so much more of a universe than just that family, than just people who touch that family. And they haven't really cracked that nut, and the stories they're telling tangentially around those people in that family are so damn good. You just want more of that, and that's a big problem for them.
That's they are building it, painting themselves into somewhat of a corner, because eventually you're just going to run out of years.
Pretty much.
I want to talk about the nitpicking. Now, one of the things that I mentioned in our last discussion of this is that I had a lot of issues with the Inquisitor Reva. And it was hard to say that because, the internet is a cesspool of useless hatred and vile, degradation. And they hated her, I think, for several, slightly different reasons. I did not like her, and it's clearly documented. Go back and watch that episode. Matter of fact, watch all of our episodes. Yes. But I mentioned that to me, she felt like she was in the wrong movie. She did not feel like an Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was interesting.
Good reason for that in the end.
And I even said, the only thing that would justify what I'm seeing is if she had some sort of a revelation or a change of heart. And that's exact. Well, and again, I'm quite the excellent writer. It's just I haven't written anything. So
when you've seen enough movies at this point,
that is true. Yeah,
I mean, we'll write it, and you can just script doctor it, because be like, I've seen this. This was in this movie. You can't do this. Like, it'll be great.
Exactly, and I think, but I will say this especially is because I was so concerned that she was just playing a really bad Inquisitor that the internet would have been not justified in why they hated her.
Well, even though she wasn't playing a good Inquisitor, I was still very taken by the character she was playing. Her power, her force, her intensity, her drive. It was not what I expected from an Inquisitor, from what I knew of them, but again, she just kind of blew me away so much that I did just want to see more of her and where she went and why she was who she was and yeah.
And to your point, when everything's revealed that she is the actual, she was a youngling who was doing the long game.
She was already almost killed by him once. Yeah.
Yeah, twice.
Well,
she could take a lightsaber. I would say that. Yeah,
she needs to teach Qui-Gon a thing or two, because
wow, too soon.
25 years is too soon.
Speaking of Qui-Gon,
well, yeah, there's that too.
I mean, I'm not going to say it was footsteps in the sand, but they did kind of throw that out there where Obi-Wan's like, "I can see you. You finally appeared." He goes, "I was always here."
And I just love that Liam Neeson came back, and I saw a little interview thing, and he was just like, I don't really want anybody else to be Qui-Gon, and I had a lot of fun with Ewan and everything 25 years ago, so why not? It's just great.
If I was Obi-Wan, I would have said, I told you not to. I told you Annie was going to be trouble, but it's and yes, bringing back Hayden Christensen. I think worked, especially at that last scene where he got beat. And it almost makes sense. He had to have lost because he would have still seen himself as not a master. He couldn't beat Obi-Wan. Yeah. Right. And I did like the arc of Obi-Wan getting his mojo back.
They filmed that so well. I mean, to see how to go from as scared and as shaking using the lightsaber as a flashlight to, lightsaber overhead in his pose and just going, it felt earned. It felt like you saw him get a little better every time. You saw him remember more every time and do more. And you saw that growth and that everything of the character. And to see the way, even just lightsaber battling aside, the way he rode out on, and I don't know my Star Wars creatures well, but that creature that he rode on that was clearly not a horse, but served as a camel horse.
I think the technical term is a snot camel. Yes.
The way he rode the snot camel out the first time when we saw him, to the way he rode it at the end, even the animal walked differently.
He's like, this guy knows what he's doing. Yeah.
You know, it's like it could feel kind of the confidence and the Obi-Wan got his mojo back. And to see that in the way he sat on the animal, the way even they animated its walking, everything was just there was such a clear growth through the whole thing, and it just felt so well paced that you could like see the different stages. It was really, really cool. I liked it a lot.
I liked it as well, and I liked. I think it was well earned when Obi-Wan said hello there to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
and that was hello there.
Yep.
It was. That was a good callback. And I did also like when Uncle Owen and Aunt Rue were protecting Luke horribly, but they tried to defend him against Reva, I like how Owen was jabbing her in her wound. You could see that. And
look, knowing that, I can only imagine the fight they put up from what was that, episode
4.
Where they came.
When the stormtroopers.
They would have. There should have been a lot more stormtrooper bodies out if that was the fight they put up against Reva.
That was like 20 years later.
Look, if you're living out there in the frontier still for 20 more years,
that is true.
Like those blaster bolts are just going to bounce off their papery skin at that point.
It's. I think it was and again, I love seeing the old. I wanted to see some blue milk. They should have poured some blue milk just to bring it all home. But
much. Drink your milk, Luke.
Exactly, and Obi-Wan, and I was wondering when they were going to get Obi-Wan to give little Luke the Y-wing. That was cool. He still held on to it. I will say, I'm kind of glad little Luke didn't talk a lot because I got a bad feeling that he was not the best young actor for some reason. I mean, I know he wasn't like the primary character, but he was he's no Vivian Lara Blair.
She is extraordinary. I mean, I loved her back. Like, I'm sure I mentioned this. She did We Can Be Heroes, the Robert Rodriguez movie on Netflix.
Right.
She was the daughter of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and she stole that movie. And her sass and her timing and her capability, like, oh my goodness, she was just incredible.
Oh, did I thought it disappeared for a second. She was so emotive with her face and things like that. I feel bad for the little kids that try and just they're not able to pull it off.
I mean, you could see her force abilities there, like clear as day. Her ability to look at somebody and then to take a second to look through them and then to read what she said. Like, she was more of a native force user at that age than clearly Luke was.
Oh, yeah. He was out there cleaning power converters.
Yeah. I mean, she was incredible. I hope somehow, she manages to come through the Hollywood machine intact.
And I still can't believe she is literally 10 years old.
Literally 10. She did We Can Be Heroes when she was 8. It's just...
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep.
And I wish, well, maybe not, Sung Kang as the fifth brother.
Yeah. He was underutilized and wasted.
Thank you. Yeah, he was not. And same with Rupert Friend. I'm not a super fan of his, but he's still a good character actor.
Yeah, he could have done more. He served as a foil more than a main character.
Exactly.
Though I believe there's hope that some of them may show up again in Ahsoka and some of the others. I think
you're right. I think they're rebuilding the universe because obviously you have Ahsoka in Mandalorian as well as in Boba Fett. So
so there's some hope I think there. But yeah, they were not nearly as fleshed out. Though the raid on their little submarine base or half sub base or whatever you want to call it was actually pretty interesting. Getting a glimpse of all of that.
It was. Now, I also want to talk about Kamal Nanjiani.
Mm.
I liked what his character was, but he felt underutilized too. I think
he was. He felt like somebody who had a lot bigger arc that just kept cutting down and cut down and cut down, but he was just so damn good they couldn't cut him out completely.
Exactly. Maybe they could have squeezed 8 episodes out of this.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, there was so much there, and it could have been a little more, of the journey, because it was relatively fast paced.
I mean, I to be honest, if we're gonna go 8 episodes, I might have almost wished they did a special 2-part movie. Maybe release them each once, 3 weeks apart or a month apart or something, and do a full theatrical, 2-parter release. Because you could have easily fleshed it out so that the first movie ended with Obi-Wan being carried away after he was massacred by Vader, and then finish the rest in the second movie, and that would have been an epic 2-part Obi-Wan movie.
Absolutely, and because again, the fact that you have Ewan McGregor, A-list actor, and an iconic character like Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Yep.
it seems such a, I don't want to say a waste to do it streaming, because streaming is the delivery platform, but still, that would have been a cinematic event. And I know it's not during these days. It was never that couldn't happen, because nobody's going to gamble on doing theater releases, especially Disney, unless it's animated. Because I'm trying to think of the last Disney movie that came out with humans in it.
Right. Probably a Marvel. But anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. It has been a lot of a propensity to go right to the streaming series, the limited special series. Mm-hmm. Nobody's really doing the limited theatrical kind of movie of sorts on that. Though with something like Kenobi, I would be interested to see if year 2, 3, whatever down the line, they actually cut together a movie and do it in theaters, kind of limited showing. Like, I wonder how much some of these things are going to come back and do that.
Well, I'll tell you this: the Alamo, which I'm a big fan of, not a sponsor yet, but I go there religiously, and they have been showing like Netflix series. Like, I remember they showed the first 3 episodes of the 2nd season of True Detective.
Oh,
okay. As kind of a promo, kind of I think there was also getting like a kind of a focus group, kind of they asked us what we thought of after the episodes, and things like that. And the same thing, they did the same thing with Love, Death, and Robots.
Okay.
A Netflix series where they showed like 8, not 8, probably like 4 or 5 episodes of the latest season and some of the older seasons as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just the thing. So I can definitely see them doing them in certain theaters, having like watch parties, not as good as our watch parties, but a lame attempt at what we do. I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on O'Shea Jackson Jr. and his inner monologue of Obi-Wan's actions? You know what I'm talking about when he said, "It's not about us. It's about you and him, isn't it?"
I mean, look, I think it's, the Republic has fallen. He might be a little force sensitive, and he got overlooked. So
I think they're going to bring him back.
No, I think they're going to bring him back too, and I hope they do, because I think it would be really interesting watching some of that resistance kind of come to light. I'm just as interested in seeing the resistance develop in that time as I am seeing, 25 years or however long it is in canon. There's a lot to play with there. Between, if you're going to talk about, between essentially episode 6 and episode 7, regardless of thoughts of any of those, there's a lot of time to play with in there. And there have been a lot of animated characters that have played in there. And I think that's unfortunately the safest bet that Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, all of them, Lucas, have at that point. And I don't like it, because that universe is just too vast and too rich to be stuck in such a small fragment of time. but that's what they seem to be doing.
So what was the animated series that they had out of the Star Wars? Not the the Clone Wars and stuff like that, but the anime one where it had like the Yojimbo spin on it.
Yeah.
I mean, because those are literally completely devoid of any of the Skywalker. I don't even know what time they took place in. They were so distant.
They were in a time-based one. I think they were just styles and stories.
And that's what they need.
They need that, yeah. I think they can do it a couple of different ways. The novelizations that they've been putting out have actually jumped back, 200-300 years or something, to more of the High Republic era. And I've listened to a couple of those on audiobook. So it's, when Yoda was still an active master, when he was only, 600 or 700, not 900 or whatever the case was. And, there are certainly some cringy moments there, but there are some interesting things there too. So I think going back to a time where, there's a lot of familiarity with kind of the Republic and the Jedi Order being in its height of its kind of power, if you will, and a relative peace time, which obviously would change in the movies because what's a movie without war, where you can see, the Jedi in their prime and kind of a range of powers and a range of abilities and how they attack different things. The High Republic series in particular deals with, I guess, basically when they're kind of opening up the Outer Rim territories to being part of the whole Republic. So, there are some interesting things there. Or you have to go past all of it. What happens and how far past can you go? Or do you need to go? But either way, they have the ability to pull Yoda if they go in the past. And if they go in the future, it's more of a risk, but I think it's more of a reward too.
Yeah. Again, it's a sandbox. You can do anything you want. You just need to focus on good storytelling. I think a good showrunner.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing too is they've got all the video game properties to pull from. I was reading rumors that the Jedi Outcast, was it Cal Kestis, the most recent video game series, they've actually possibly been talking about making a TV series based on the video game.
Now, and forgive me, is that the one where it has the little droid on his shoulder?
Yep, that's the one.
All right.
And they've been talking about that actor they used as his likeness in particular to reprise that role, and that would be pretty cool. That's
definitely coming together. I could see that coming together easily because, first of all, he's going to be he's already signed up with Marvel because he's going to be in the next Guardians of the Galaxy as Warlock.
He's playing Adam Warlock?
He is playing Adam Warlock, and you need to see some images of him on the internet now because he is super jacked. Super jacked.
Was he in the after credits scene in Guardians 2?
No, they just had a like a sarcophagus of him. Let's see. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Warlock, Adam Warlock, and it is being played by Will Poulter. Is that who it is?
No, that's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I'm thinking
it's not Will Poulter. It's
my fault. Will Poulter.
What's his name? Cameron Moynihan. I may be butchering his last name. Sorry.
Oh, he was the Joker in he was Jerome in the Batman.
Yes, he was Jerome. Yeah, that's right. He was Jerome in Gotham.
Yeah,
that's right. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be cruel. They look the same. I have face blindness. They look the same. Yeah,
there are some similarities. I think Will's slightly less red.
Yeah, he was also in Shameless. He played a good role in the series Shameless. If anybody's seen that, I feel bad.
Cool. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Will Poulter is going to be Adam Warlock in
All right.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. No, that's great.
And he is, because the last time I saw him, he played a nerdy guy in one of the Black Mirror episodes.
Okay.
And he was also in a comedy road trip with Jason Sudeikis and Christina Applegate.
Oh.
Or no, it wasn't Christina Applegate. It was what's her name from Friends? Brad Pitt's ex-wife.
Jennifer Aniston.
What name did you say?
Jennifer Aniston.
That is the one.
Okay.
Really?
Christina Applegate and Jennifer Aniston. Really?
Well, I think Christina Applegate was in a movie with Jason Sudeikis as well. Yeah. Well, he other than his new series as a soccer coach, he didn't really find his footing. He was always just doing these
series. Oh, is that Apple TV thing?
Yes.
That everybody keeps telling me that I need to buy Apple TV for to watch.
And I'm not buying Apple TV. I tell you what, I would buy Apple TV for C. And remember I was telling you about C with Jason Momoa?
You know, I had Apple TV for a while. I watched the first episode of it. It was awesome, but for some reason it still didn't draw me back to finish it.
It's a slow burn, but
it is.
I think you would really appreciate it because you like the first of all, you would love the visuals of it.
Yes.
And I loved and I mentioned this before when I was raving about it. It's just the logistics of blind society, and I mean things that you would never think about. Being a sighted person, you see how and I heard that they really want it to be true to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do remember that from the first episode, and that I saw a lot of familiar, as I had a previous life where I worked with a lot of blind or visually impaired individuals, or individuals who are blind and visually impaired. I do remember noting how familiar some of the tactics and the setups that they used in that particular episode worked, especially the opening kind of battle attack siege fight scene, and just the way they did that was really, really cool.
I love that differently able definitely means you're not some advanced society that you're not willing to peel some cap backs,
it's interesting.
Peel some caps back because they were just as violent and bloodthirsty as everybody else. So it's good to see.
Humans are humans.
Unfortunately, yes. That's so. Yeah, I mean, but again, if you do get a chance to, I'm sure they have it online. You out there in Binge Theory Land, check out Jason Momoa in C. That's C as in sight, SEE, and battle scenes. There's another scene that I showed you. I probably showed you a clip of where he was like in a concrete room, just kind of like a cellar kind of an area, and he's doing this fighting. And it's so unorthodox, but for somebody who's visually impaired, it made perfect sense. It's not like the Japanese folklore where you use the same stance as a samurai, but you just hear everything. No, you have like a lower sense of gravity, and you throw stuff on the ground so you can hear people say. It was just so well thought out. I still love that, but I'm not paying whatever Apple's trying to get me to pay. They got enough of my money with charging me for my ridiculous phone. But that being said, getting back to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And also, who else I think they really underutilized was Indira Varma, that she played Talia.
Yeah. Well, I think there were plot lines, I think, where she became a love interest of Obi-Wan that might have actually been a little bit more in depth. But I think, and rightfully so, because I don't think it was right for the story. He was not in a place where he could love himself or like himself, let alone somebody else. And to be honest, I'd rather see more of the Clone Wars era type stuff if we were going to ever go there with him. He had, I'll say a relationship, but we'll leave it to debatability there, with I'm going to say Katie Sackhoff's sister, but that's wrong. The Mandalorian character she plays had a sister who was, I don't know if she was like the president, or she ran Mandalore, or she was just there or something. But Obi-Wan and Sabina Wren, I believe, was her name. Now I think that just rings a bell. I think so. But anyway, there was some potential love interest stuff there during Clone Wars that was interesting at the time and could be interesting to see explored. But it might not even necessarily apply then. But no, I think he wasn't in a place for that, so I think cutting that was probably a good choice.
I definitely would not have liked it in this season, but I would have at least liked her to survive.
Yes, her not surviving.
Yeah,
they seem to have a propensity to kill a lot of the potential rebellion leaders real soon. So how they tend to recruit people when their ranks go down so quick would be an interesting story to tell, I think.
That's a high turnover rate. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you see these people just dying left and right before it's even an official, really, rebellion. It's just kind of a path. It's like, how the hell does an Admiral Akbar sign up? I mean, you know?
But like, unless everybody just gets promoted up, then the head count goes down. I mean, O'Shea, Obi-Wan's like...
I mean, look, I would follow a series of just him building the rebellion.
You know who he kind of reminded me of? Like a very young... I know he wasn't the same character, but...
Yeah.
When Forrest Whitaker was in...
oh, yeah.
And he was like, you could tell he'd been building the, Resistance for decades and decades.
Yes.
I forget his character's name, but I could see that. He was almost like a younger version of that. Obviously, the timeline was not even allow that, but... yeah, I mean, he was fine.
No, you're right. And I think that's exactly right. He did seem like a very much younger version of him there. And he's the kind of person that you're going to want to follow. And Absolutely. If he's got some kind of Force leanings and Force sensitivities or whatever that way, or even if he doesn't, like, I would be interested to see him build the rebellion. I would be interested to see him, convince a retired admiral to come join the, let's just be serious. Like, could you imagine seeing the story of him talking Akbar into coming on board to the rebellion and actually building up a force?
Absolutely. No.
That kind of thing would be amazing. And still, quite frankly, in Star Wars' safe zone of periods of history that everybody likes.
I see that as being a thing. Jimmy Smits.
Love it. Just the fact that these characters are still here and they're still coming back and they're still willing to play and to do, like, the continuity of character. I just appreciate that to have.
And of course, I mean, I called him Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, but it was what's his name? The actor was Uncle Owen. What was his name? And he's Joel Egerton.
Yep. And he was the same that, like, everybody.
Yeah, funny is he looks more like Uncle Owen the older he gets, and more.
He does. It's great.
More disheveled,
Yeah. And I mean, let's talk about the biggest one that I think everybody was wondering about: James Earl Jones.
Look,
he still
did not miss a step. He still got it.
He still got it, or they actually did it right, because there was an interesting little asterisk or so about a additional kind of what do they call it?
Autotone?
Voice processing or autotone or something to kind of help, or to kind of do something. I don't know what.
Well,
like him coming out at this. What is he? 91 now or something? And like he had it. There's no question he had it, and it was so wonderful in a frighteningly heartwarming way to hear his voice still be Darth Vader's voice.
91. God. Born in Mississippi, 1931. So
1931.
I bet he loves, that we're on Twitter now, and in questioning science. He's seen a lot.
That's an understatement. I mean,
yeah, he's seen a lot. He must be so proud with all the progress we've made as a society.
Yeah, it was a Reese feature, I think, is what it was called.
Oh, Reese feature.
Reese feature software. Yeah.
I could see that, not only for him, but just and I forgive me, I could be wrong on this because I saw Top Gun recently, and
Val Kilmer.
I heard that it might have been Reese Beecher or it might have been his son that sounded very similar to. And I don't want to give spoilers away if nobody's seen it.
Yeah.
But obviously he's in it. That's no secret. But there is a time where he actually talks, but it's effective because and for but anyway go see Top Gun, by the way. If you
I haven't seen that one yet, but yeah,
I wish you could go in the theater.
So do I.
This is a theater film, Logan. I'm telling you,
an IMAX film or a theater film?
Just a theater. I mean, IMAX would be the best, but you still need to be in a theater to get the scope of it because you are in the cockpit, and it's just so much more of a immersive moment when you're seeing the plane, shoot up and do like a deadlift and then come down, or the Cobra maneuver, where you pull back on the yoke. There were scenes that, and again, all real, which makes it insane. I don't know what insurance company would allow this thing to be made, but it works. And don't get me wrong, schlock, a whole bunch of good old fashioned 80s schlock, but it plays because of the plane work. The story is fine, but once they get in the jets, that
was how the first one did it.
Oh yeah, exactly. No, and it's definitely an homage to that. I do feel bad that they kind of aged out some of the characters and replaced them with Hollywood standards of beauty, but that's Hollywood. So yeah. Anyway, keep getting off track. So. The choreography of the final fight scene with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader.
It was beautiful. The only thing I was missing was Darth Vader making some sort of "I have the high ground" comment.
I was thinking
all
that
I was missing when Obi-Wan was down there and he had it. It was like, how hard are you biting your tongue? Oh my goodness!
Exactly. Or if Obi-Wan
high ground now, like come
or
on.
Or if Obi-Wan would say, "You have the high ground," that was a little too on the nose. Just seeing Darth Vader look down at him, but.
And I mean, it was so obvious visually that I guess they couldn't say it, but I still wish they did.
Yeah, and again, I love.
And then there was a whole, I'm bringing the high ground to you. Like, they could have, I don't know, and maybe it would have been wrong for it, and that's fine. But
they did give Obi-Wan Kenobi his Spider-Man homecoming moment.
Yes,
where Peter Parker was trapped under the air conditioning. He had, come on, Spider-Man, and he finds the power within himself.
And it was Leia.
Absolutely, his love for her, and that was his strength to throw some rocks. And let's talk about throwing rocks.
Oh,
when he was weaponizing boulders,
that was
pummeling Vader. I mean, again, that was.
I mean, we have seen the Force used in battles, but I don't know that we've ever seen it that brutally used. It was incredible on both sides.
And I knew they were going to go, full speed with the Force when Vader ripped apart that ship. I mean, everybody.
He made that look, and that was. I love that retcon of powers, where if you remember from Episode 9, how hard Rey and Kylo Ren both kind of fought on that ship to just barely stop it from going.
Yes.
And Vader just walked in, took it, slammed it to the ground, ripped it open. Like the retcon of strength and of power in the Force that he had almost lends more credence to Palpatine's chastising of Ren that you're just a cheap knockoff of Vader. Because holy crap, he was.
Oh yeah. Well, again, the thing that does, I mean, and again, it's you're trying to.
Yeah.
But when I'm thinking of him in, let me ask you this, and again, forgive my ignorance of the Force and how it works. I'm not going the midichlorian route, but I will go into the, let's just say, the plumbing aspect of it. If the Force was a water source, and everybody that had access to it was turning on their spigot, it would be less. There'd be less force, literally, less pressure.
Okay.
So it would just kind of trickle out, But if only a few people were using it, this force would be concentrated within them. That's why. Remember, we were talking, I think, back on the Rey, that Rey might have had access to a lot more of the Force because it was like a dying, a lot of people, nobody was using it. It was, antiquated at that point.
I mean, that's an interesting thought. It almost treats it then like, you remember Highlander?
Oh, exactly. No, exactly like Highlander.
It treats it kind of like that. And I don't know. Interesting concept. I've never quite thought about it that way, but
I am writing the new Jedi religion and the source of their power. You've heard it here first. The Force
Jedi
is water.
Highlander.
Yeah, like Bruce Lee said, be like water.
Hmm.
That's what he said, and I think that's what he was talking about in Star Wars.
Yeah,
so,
totally what Bruce Lee was talking about.
He's like, be like water, like Obi-Wan under those rocks. But anyway, great fight scene, great production, great visuals. I like.
Oh yeah.
And again, it just breaks my heart that Boba Fett was such a. I would say more of an anomaly based on all these other ones that we've had with Mandalorian 1 and 2 and this one. So I think they got the formula. They just, to your point, I hope they just don't keep spiraling around the whole Skywalker.
Yeah, it's a real concern.
And what did you think about where they were? Now, do you think when you heard about that voice software they were using, do you think that they were talking about when they merged, Christian Haydenson and James Earl Jones' voice in the same thing when his mask was split open? Because I
don't understand. I don't know that particular software, so I don't know what it's designed to do. When they kind of did that, when his helmet was half sliced open, which I really loved, and called back to, I don't know, some interesting kind of synergy there. I saw it online where it was like, Obi-Wan kind of took off that half. Ahsoka actually in Rebels kind of took the other half to kind of see him, but only Luke could basically take the entire helmet off and bring his father back in sort of a way. So there was a fun kind of poeticness to the way they visually placed that. Hopefully it was intentionally, but who knows there.
You can enjoy
I mean, I certainly the combination of their voices at the end were good. Really, I think the biggest part with Hayden Christensen was that episode, was it 2 or 3, where it was the flashback from that fight that they had, where it was so close to like, is he going to kill him? But he still couldn't. And it both was another great fight scene between essentially Obi-Wan and Anakin. But
now, are you talking about where
it was the flashback scene?
Okay, the flashback.
Flashback fight.
Not when he was dragged through fire.
No, the flashback fight.
I got you. Yeah, and Obi-Wan said, your anger is going to ruin your.
Yeah. And just to see the skill that he had there, and the skill that they both kind of fought with, and how, in some ways, almost vicious like Anakin was even in that play fight, though you're play fighting with lightsabers, so
No, Anakin.
I feel like we got almost 3 battles between the two of them in this whole series, and that was, I think, 2 more than we were billed. So I appreciated that too.
It was, there was a lot of Obi-Wan Darth Vader fighting for, for the ticket, and
there was,
because everybody was like, well, how can they fight if, because just have Darth Vader lose. That's how you fix it, because he's not the master. He got his butt kicked again, and that's what happened. But
I mean, he lost 2 out of 3, though. He still won the one quite handedly.
Yeah,
and his ego let it get the best of him.
Speaking of ego, okay. Well, and first of all, I'll say that he was fighting a very out of shape Obi-Wan.
He was.
Obi-Wan hadn't been training.
Oh, he could feel that fear a mile away.
Absolutely, and I love how and since I just saw it today, I remember the line where Darth Vader said, "Your strength is back, but you're still too weak." So and true. I mean, I think Obi-Wan had strength when it was focused on what he cared about, but not.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'll tell you what, when he was pummeling Vader with those rocks, that was
as vicious as Obi-Wan ever got.
Yeah. I mean, come on, who throws rocks? But I enjoyed it. I think Disney they're earning their $7.99 a month. I will give it over gladly as long as they don't start jacking it up more and more, which they will. But
I mean, everybody will eventually. I'm still writing out my 3-year advance purchase, and I am still not regretting a single second of it.
How long have you had it so far? 2 years? Or
I don't act. You know what? That's a good question. The day it was released at their D23 event, I got a link from a friend and purchased 3 years in advance that second.
Gotcha.
So I actually haven't had to pay for it at all because it's still been running that out. I'm sure there's a ticker somewhere because I know Disney's going to want more money eventually.
They're absolutely good, especially because they're Disneyland and Disney World. Well, I don't think will ever be fully back up to the numbers they had with, let's just say, our reoccurring ailments. But speaking of Darth Vader's mask, that reminds me of the hilarious meme I saw online where it was a callback to Return of the Jedi, episode 6.
Yeah.
And Darth Vader's laying on the ramp, and he's like, "Take this mask off so I can gaze at you with my own eyes." And Luke's like, "If I take this mask off, you'll die." And Darth Vader says, "I have a note from my doctor."
Nice.
That's a COVID joke, so just so people get it.
We're at the point in the pandemic we can joke about it now.
Exactly. I have a note. That's a hoax. But great movie. And again, I wonder if they're going to be able to squeeze another few fight scenes in, because they're coming back for Obi-Wan.
I mean, I think there's more stories to tell. I think look, if they can get Liam Neeson back, forget it. There's a second season.
Well, trust me, he's not doing anything. I mean, they're not going to make a Taken 4.
He shows up in the oddest of places. So yes, if they can do that with him, I think there's some interesting potential with all of the Jedi that could have made it out through that path. I think, the way to throw some kind of Jedi characters from the books or from other video games or from other things kind of in real life. Or in live action. Sorry, not real life, in live action. I think there's some benefit there where you could, again, Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor as the headliners for season 2.
I don't see why Liam wouldn't, because Force Ghost money is good money, and you don't have to even be anywhere. They can just put you on some soundstage.
He can set up a green screen just like I got, and he can do it from home. Like, he can literally phone it in, and it could still be awesome.
Exactly. Hashtag Force Ghost. Yes.
Yeah, hashtag Force Ghost. So I do think there's some opportunity for 2. I think it's a matter of who they can line up and can the right people have the buy-in to the story. But there's more that could totally come.
Now, let me ask you, and now I'm just thinking I might have to watch it again, but it was because we were talking about Tala Jareth being a love interest, and I sensed that, and I think her character left a little abruptly. But I do remember the robot trying to cover her from the blasters.
Oh, yes.
Is there a chance that she survived that explosion?
I will say anything can be retconned. So I suppose that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, it would be nice to have more of her, but I feel like you could also just as easily, like, I don't know, have her sister, her twin sister, who's somewhere else.
Oh, that's Yeah, that's
like I don't think necessarily you need to kind of go that far.
that is true, but it does feel like that character. First of all, she's just a strong action character. I mean, ever since Game of Thrones, it seems like that little part that they had her in was totally underutilized. But
she was good. She was good for what she was in. She was definitely underutilized. Would I like to see more of her? Absolutely, but there are other ways to do it. I'm not terribly.
I can see her and Kumail Nanjiani coming back, as well as O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Oh, I would like to see. I don't know. I guess I'd like to see them come back, but I'd like to see more growth. I'd like to see kind of that building the rebellion. Like
exactly. Oh no, yeah, that's what I mean. Is not necessarily even under the Obi-Wan banner, but maybe if they're going to be doing some offshoots, which of course they will, something with Rebels or something. I know I'm totally slaughtering it. I don't know the animated series or the game, canon. So I'm just throwing out ideas that. But yeah, again, loved it. Ewan McGregor. I've been a fan of his since Trainspotting. Thumbs up. Oh yeah. I mean, if anybody, that's a totally different type of movie.
Well, yeah, obviously. I'm trying to think what the first thing I saw him in was.
Well, he was also in that musical with Nicole Kidman, Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
Yep. I'm going down his list because he was in. I mean, I see. The funny thing is, a lot of when I see people in like really edgy dramas, it's hard for me to enjoy them in rom-coms and stuff like that. Okay. But he was also in. Let's see what else.
Now, to be honest, I think the first thing I probably saw him in was episode 1.
Really?
Dead serious.
Okay.
I'm familiar with Trainspotting, but I never saw it. Yeah, I still don't think I've seen it, to be honest.
You're not going to see that. He was in A Life Less Ordinary, which is kind of a cute thing. He was also in a movie where he portrayed a Iggy Pop-like character called Velvet Goldmine. Okay. It was about David Bowie and Iggy.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't have seen that.
And he was also in. He was in this one movie that I liked called what was it? He was in Stay with Ryan Gosling, where he played a psychiatrist, and Ryan Gosling played a man who had reoccurring dreams of doing self-harm, and it was just a very it was like an artistic drama thriller, but it was shot beautifully. It was like a very unique new style of cinematography and editing and things like that. It kind of, I'd say the closest comparison is it's like, and without kidding, you're not going to see it anyway, but it's like it's like Jacob's Ladder. Okay. And you haven't seen that either.
No.
Okay. Oh, and again, that's not by any means a detraction. This is a specific genre that I know you have no interest in watching. And Jacob's Ladder was dark. Jacob's Ladder, Angel Heart with Mickey Rourke and Robert De Niro, and very young Lisa Bonet. All those types of movies. Just that's save your soul. Just don't bother watching it.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I appreciate you telling me that.
But Ewan McGregor, and the last movie I saw him outside of this was Dr. Sleep, with it was the sequel to The Shining. Okay. Have you ever seen The Shining? No.
I don't think so. No.
I'm sure everybody knows that's the Stephen King novel that was done by Kubrick into a film. A lot of imagery that's iconic imagery. You've seen it on the internet, of course, twins and the carpet and all that stuff. I mean, but that's Kubrick. Kubrick just is ridiculous with camera, and and the story is of just the gist of it for those who haven't come across it yet. You know what the funny thing is? I come across young audiences, and I assume they have like this source of recall for older movies, and they look at me like movies didn't exist before 1995, and I'm just like, yeah, it breaks my heart. So for those,
I'm looking and I really don't think, to be honest, I've seen a lot of his movies.
And that's fair, because I'm thinking
like I've seen all his Star Wars ones. I've seen Black Hawk Down.
I've
seen Moulin Rouge.
Everybody was in Black Hawk Down.
Well, there's that too.
Even Tom Hardy was in Black Hawk Down.
Yeah. No argument there. I've seen Moulin Rouge, and I've seen The Island. In fact, I remember the girl I took to go see The Island in the theaters with.
Wow.
Yeah. Fond memories. Memories.
That was pure Michael Bay.
That was special.
That was oversaturation, and
that's okay. I missed just enough of that movie. Let's just put it that way. It was a good
by
movie.
The way, he's Ewan McGregor is going to be in the Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Well, just the voice, though.
Well, yeah, he's playing Jiminy Cricket.
Right. Which looks actually pretty damn awesome. I mean, have you seen the trailer for that? Like Tom Hanks?
No,
Tom Hanks,
that's perfect casting.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, and Guillermo del Toro does lore and fashion.
Well,
I mean,
see, he's the only thing that gives me pause about it, because he can go either way. He can tell an amazing story, or he can suck you in thinking he's telling you an amazing story and screw with you.
Really?
I don't want to be screwed with.
And also, he was in this movie that, again, you probably wouldn't stand out, but and I know I mentioned it before. He was in it with Tom Holland. He played Tom Holland's father in Incredible. It was something like that. It was Incredible or The Impossible. I always messed it up. He was in The Impossible, and it starred a very young Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And what's her name? That I thought was a fantastic actress. She not Nicole Kidman.
Naomi Watts.
Naomi Watts, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Tom Holland. He was a little kid in that, and a story about a family that was in the midst of a tsunami that just destroyed everything, and then them surviving.
There you go.
I think it's based on a true story. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of Tom Holland, I finally saw Spider-Man: No Way Home, which was amazing.
Yes. Now, I don't think we have.
So I can go back in time now and make up for my commentary without having seen it.
I will say this. I need to get you knew what was going to happen, but
I did. But there was so much nuance that I still appreciated. It still hit me. It still, got me. There were still some, I'd seen plenty of clips, and I knew some of the best parts and some of the surprises and stuff. In some ways that helped. I don't know. I didn't feel, when I saw it, I still enjoyed it. I still liked it. I was still entertained for sure. I still, I don't know. I mean, it would have been something to see in theaters, but I don't. It was great. It was still great.
It wasn't. Yeah, the theater was the moment, and I'm like first run. I'm the Thursday. Thursday evening guy. I see that before the spoilers and things come out, and it was the reaction of seeing Andrew Garfield rip off that mask and just the dialogue. It was so organic.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It was so organic and the thing that I loved about it, and again, not to do too deep dive because we
already did that. Go watch it. We already did that.
Yeah, exactly. But now you get to see the different Spider-Man, and it's not just, hey, I'm Peter Parker, I'm Spider-Man. No, I'm the hippy dippy love and peace Spider-Man, I'm the older, more settled, I've seen some
Can
stuff.
You crack my back? Like, that was the greatest thing.
I'll tell you, the dialogue was the best part.
Yes. Oh, 100%. 100%.
And again, Andrew Garfield is such a great actor.
Yes.
When they were just having that conversation in the school lab, and he's looking at MJ and Tom Holland, having just a tender moment, and he's just kind of, happy. You see him kind of lamenting his loss. My God.
That was the only part that didn't hit as hard at home as I saw the theater reactions.
Well, wait a second. I'm not talking about.
Oh, that's where I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
The part where he saved Zendaya. The YouTube videos that I saw of the actual crowd reactions, to hear them all gasp, to hear the shock at Tom Holland getting taken out, the pin drop silence to see Andrew Garfield jump, and then the raucous cheer when he actually saved her. I'm getting tears right now. Those videos on YouTube were infinitely more impactful and tremendous than seeing it at home. And that's the only part of that movie that really detracted seeing it at home. Because, just the love for all of that was practically too much.
No, and that's exactly. I mean, there were moments of laughter.
So much more comedy and jokes than I realized.
With Jamie Foxx and when they're all the villains from the different universes
in the basement of Strange's,
in a wizard's dungeon.
In a wizard's dungeon. It was so great.
Yeah, and even just there was one scene that was like a throwaway, but Andrew Garfield just brings so much to the table with his. It's when Ned, first of all, it was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Ned was saying, "Is there a version of me in your universe?" And Spider-Man said, "Right, Tobey Maguire said I had a best friend, but he went insane and tried to kill me." So, and then Ned said to Tom Holland, "I promise I will never try to go mad and try to kill you." Andrew Garfield puts his hand on his shoulder. He's like,
"It's so great, it's so good,
it's so good." And even and I know I'm going back into Spider-Man mode here, but when he saw MJ and Peter Tom Holland having that tender moment, and Tobey Maguire sees him kind of lamenting his own loss, and he's like, "What about you? Do you have anybody back home?" And he's like, "No, I have no time for Peter Parker stuff." And it was kind of sad because he just gave up on that portion of his life, but he still had that enthusiasm and happiness. But that was just a part that he kind of compartmentalized.
Yeah.
And
it was so well done, all of them.
And again, when even though you see it all in the trailer, when Doc Ock, is like, you're not Peter Parker, and Doctor Strange says, "Do you know a Peter Parker in your universe?" And Doc Ock's like, "Yes." "Is this Peter Parker?" "No." And it's just that whole thing. And even when they were in Happy's apartment, and he's like, "What are you gonna do? Cure us with a reheated burrito?" And Willem Dafoe said, "I could go for a burrito."
Willem Dafoe is just. He is so underappreciated and
he makes me want to go back and see Spider-Man 1 just because he was more like a villain than I'd ever really remembered. And maybe it's because, that was 20 years ago or however, but
I don't know. Over time, it seems like he plays those dualities better.
Well, and don't get me wrong. Everybody always said he should be the Joker, just because, he has the character lines and that, that
let's not kill him prematurely, please.
Exactly, but that overstated smile of his, and when you see him in this joke, and I'm sorry, the Riddler, not the cheese,
wow,
the Goblin.
Wow.
Well, I mean, come on, these I mean, all these names. I'm lucky I didn't call him Cher, or Beyonce. All the single names.
Totally right.
But yeah, his role as Goblin without the mask, which I think added so much to it that you could literally see.
Oh yeah.
The menacing nature of him as opposed to that horrible mask they did in the first one.
Yeah.
And also you could tell he was like that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type deal.
Totally.
And and tell me you weren't tearing up with the Aunt May scene.
I mean, that was rough. I don't know. It didn't hit me as hard as Uncle Ben's in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2. No.
Interesting. No, and the only reason I think it hit me harder was didn't see that coming, because in this universe, Aunt May was the Uncle Ben. And,
right.
And also, in theory, there was no Uncle Ben.
No, there was never an Uncle Ben.
Yeah, so the fact that I didn't expect Aunt May to die, because Aunt May was always just Aunt May.
Yeah, it was unexpected. It was, the way he treated it. I can appreciate that with all the crazy outer space alien things he's seen. That like, no, this isn't real. Just look at me and let's go. Like, I mean, I appreciated the realism of it, but something, just missed for me personally, or I wasn't quite there.
I hear you. I mean,
well done on all parts. But,
to me, it was all Tom Holland. I mean, that's what I locked.
It's painful to watch him be in pain like that. That's a good actor.
Well, and exactly, and that delivery of the, just the slow realization, and it's like, it's just you and me. It's just you and me. Yep. That broke my heart. And again, maybe it's I have a mother, and that's what I could see if that was circumstance. That's literally your entire world being taken away. And
I've got just a mother left too, so I didn't see it that way, but yes, I can understand if you see it that way how that feels. Totally.
Yeah, and again, we agree his delivery was great, but it's all films are what you bring into them. So
yes, and how they hit you at the time. I could see that being one of those things where it didn't now, but some far off indeterminate time in the future, when my mother's no longer with us, seeing the movie again on a rewatch may hit me very differently.
Yeah.
That's one of those movies that it was so well done, it can do that to you.
It had some moments. I you know what? I think the Happy kind of tainted it a little, because they kind of
Happy does taint things a little bit.
Yeah, because he had. I know they tried to put him in there, but he served no purpose for me. It was. I don't mean
the only purpose he served was at the end at the gravesite. That was hard to watch him not recognize Tom Holland, the Spider-Man, after everything they had been through.
And also the coffee shop with MJ and Ned. Obviously more so MJ, but him not, and also.
Look, I just feel bad for Ned not getting to be one of Doctor Strange's disciples, because he's got the power.
He's got magic in him.
He does. Is he the villain of season 4 or movie 4?
I can't. I can't say. I can't see. I don't see why not. But
he's also the villain because he doesn't know he was Peter Parker's best friend. Like, could you imagine that as movie 4?
That would be very well written, actually. That Peter, Spider-Man,
Marvel. Just saying
that is script doctor in the house.
Yeah.
Also, there was a kind of tender moment where Doctor Strange is like, saying, "You better say goodbye to your friends," and he's telling MJ, you're not going to remember me. And she's like, no, I don't want that. I don't want,
Yeah.
I mean, it just, the dialogue felt so, I mean, there were some zany scenes, but
it's like they got kids that age to rewrite it.
Yeah, exactly. The dialogue didn't
felt so right for them.
It didn't feel like it was written by a 50-year-old guy.
100%. Yeah.
And again, so even Jamie Foxx's, I thought Jamie Foxx was underutilized, but still, his lines
underutilized, but used well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
all of them.
And again, I understand. I mean, you had a lot of characters.
A lot of people to squeeze into that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, wait a second. Which is the one where they had Venom? That wasn't this one. That was the end of the second.
That was Spider-Man 3 of Sam
Raimi's
with
the Tom Holland Spider-Man. He was a post-credit.
He was a post-credit scene in both, but there was a Venom version in Spider-Man 3 with
Topher Grace.
Yeah, Topher Grace was Venom in that one, not the current Venom.
Yeah, but no, I mean, as far as the universes crossing, it was either at the end of.
It was both. So the end of the first one, it showed him morphing into the current universe, and at the end of No Way Home, it showed him because he was at the bar. It was like, all right, tell me about this Thanos guy. And then he was like, oh, we were just getting used to this universe. You're telling me we're leaving it now? And then he popped back out, but left a little
slime
piece
behind.
Of goo. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't need that at all.
It didn't need it. But see, that's the thing, though, is that it still works, I think. It still works because, one, it's kind of fun to see the after credits. I can appreciate that. Sure. Or no, I'm sorry. It was the end of Venom 2 where he popped into the universe.
Well,
and then it was Spider-Man This No Way Home where he popped back into his. So you have this odd little thing where you get to play with, the character from the two movies, the actors from the two movies, and everything that's working. And you have a new way to introduce Venom into the current MCU.
But do you think they're even really going to be in the MCU, or are they going to do this whole Sony thing? What do you think is going to happen?
I think there's a lot of room for negotiation. And I think what we haven't seen yet, but that what we may see soon, are, especially with multiverse stuff going on, multiple versions of people. We could see a Venom in the Marvel universe that is not Tom Hardy's Venom in Sony's universe because, as we just saw, a little piece of a Venom was left in the Marvel universe when Tom Hardy went back to his, let's just call it Sonyverse, for lack of a better term. So you have the opportunity now to have a Sony Venom and a Marvel Venom, if they agree, back end in the movies, to share the rights in some way to each having their own version of the character.
True. Now, you have not seen Morbius.
It is on my list. I will be seeing it the next week.
If there's anything you can see instead of that, I'd recommend.
I spent money, or, well, we'll call it not really money, but I rented it, so I need to watch it.
All right, we'll definitely do a show on that because I want to get your thoughts on Morbius.
Next week we'll do the show on that one. That's fine.
You know what? And also, we got what we were originally going to be doing a Miss Marvel, but I think we've used a lot of time. But
we can go either way. The one thing I will say about Miss Marvel,
yes,
and just
the
same way, a little teaser, the way the writing for the kids for Peter and for Zendaya and for all of them kind of worked, makes me appreciate and almost wish there was like kind of a crossover with Miss Marvel, because I feel like as kids they could banter so fast and so realistically that it would be really, really fun to kind of see. And if there's anything about Miss Marvel that I love, and there's a lot that I do enjoy, that whole authenticity that she brings to that character, Mostly because as I'm like researching and not researching, but like watching interviews and other things of her, she just brings herself to that character. She's incredible.
I saw her on I think it was Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
And
she is the character. It's great.
And let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Yeah, I love her character so much. And from the moment she smiled and her furrowed brow and the way she smiles, it just lights you up inside. She's just a lovely character. And I think her name is Iman Vellani, and such a kid, such a genuine kid. I'm trying to see when was she born?
She is like, it was funny. I thought the other day that like, God, I wish her and Tom Holland could like be in a thing together, but then I realized like, I don't really want that because Tom Holland has been through so much shit. He's like, aged past it.
Yeah.
But the shiny faced, Spider-Man, the first time you see him introduced in Civil War, and her would have been like instant besties.
But to that point, couldn't he meet her and be the more, not grizzled, but kind of just the, like, I've seen it, I know where you're coming from, and here's some pointers, kid. Almost like a big brother type role.
Yeah.
I don't think that they'd be. I mean, it would have been awesome if they bumped into each other and were like just kidding it up. But he's a college kid now, and she's still in like I think a sophomore or something like that. So.
I would have liked it if they could have kidded it up, but yes, there is
also because she dresses as Captain Marvel, and he's met Captain Marvel, so that would have been the line. He goes, like the outfit, I'll tell you what, Logan, in just a passing, like if he were to have seen her dressed in her, cosplay Captain Marvel, and if he were to swing by and he would have stopped, like the outfit, or something like that, that would have been just, touch it and walk away.
And what's fun too is that now, especially with the way he ended, being in his bright blue, bright red, more almost optimistic retro looking suit.
Yeah,
he totally could do that. He could stop by and just be like, "Love the suit, you're awesome. Keep it up."
Go right over
and
the
like I don't normally make it to Jersey, but
exactly.
It was worth it for Avengers Con 2. Like, you're awesome.
Yep.
He could totally pull that off, and maybe that would be enough. Maybe it would. I don't know, but
it was so good, and some of the quick things that I loved about Ms. Marvel so far, because I think how many episodes is
4?
This?
2 more to go. 6 total.
Okay, good. So first of all, the production I love. I would put this above Moon Knight.
Yes.
Quite frankly. I mean, Moon Knight, let me put it this way. I love the vibrant nature of this and the energy, and especially when they went to Pakistan. And it was just, and I would say, okay, not necessarily better, but it definitely has it's more fun. It's more energetic than Moon Knight. Moon Knight is kind of like an Egyptian drama, almost like
it's more grounded.
Yeah,
it's much more grounded in reality. And I think with something like Moon Knight, the scenery, even if you're going to Egypt, which is obviously a real place with real pyramids and real things, it becomes another character in the show.
Yeah,
and if we're with the exception of going to Pakistan, which certainly becomes another character in an aspect. Let's be serious. Jersey City is kind of nondescript. It kind of blends in there. And I think it allows the groundedness, or allows the show to feel more grounded, and you're not as distracted by where you are as much as you were in Moon Knight. So they're two different kind of things, I would say there.
Yeah, she's home. She's not going on the adventure.
Yeah, she's home. Yeah. She's not in an exotic land until she is, you know. But it's like it's a bus, it's a convention hall, it's a mosque, it's a town, it's a house, it's a corner market, it's a or bodega, whatever you want to call it. Like it's all super familiar, kind of meh, you know. It's a wedding reception hall. Like none of this stuff is special. And so you get to focus on everything else.
I can appreciate that it's starting off where, and I mean, such good character introductions because you know, love her mother, love her father, love
her brother and his wife or new wife now and everything, like all of it. Is it her friends?
Yes. Again, these are what in any other story would be just ancillary characters, but I actually have vested interest in learning about them and
it made you feel like you're in the family.
And that's, I'm trying to think, other than Spider-Man, you don't really get to see these Marvel characters family. And I'm not talking about Hawkeye and his family.
Well, Hawkeye, I would argue, is actually a great example of another aspect where you kind of get to be in there a little bit.
A little bit. That's what I'm saying. Is
a little bit.
You see them and then they're gone.
But you see them and they're gone, but you still you feel the tension that he has trying to get back to them. There's the constant calls. There's the "when are you coming home, Dad?" which obviously resonates for me a bit because I have kids. You know, there's and then there's kind of that pseudo kind of pseudo child parent relationship that he has with, I'm blanking on her name, but Haley Stagfield's character. You know, so that I think gave you a little bit more of it. But this is the first time where, it feels like you're in it and you feel emotionally attached and situationally attached to all of the characters and what they're going through and how what she's going through is affecting them. Hawkeye is doing Hawkeye stuff, and you can kind of tell that, like, his kids wonder when he's getting home, but you don't necessarily feel it. You feel the frustration that her mother has for her, like, why aren't you a normal kid? I don't know what's going on. You feel the frustration her father has. Oh, that scene in, the first or second episode when she was just like, but you're not cool enough for me to go with.
That broke my heart.
Oh, that hurt so much. And the fact that it did made such an impact.
You're 100% right.
It didn't matter to the story one bit.
It was literally just, to show.
But it put you in that family and that pain of just a normal family and normal teen stuff. And it was just incredible. Yeah.
That scene did break my heart when he walked in as the Hulk.
He played that so well and so dejected, and then she realized what she said after, but she was a teenager, so she couldn't take it back, and
that's it. That's the whole point. Is she's saying what a dumb teenager would say with lack of impulse control, and
she's 19. She's close enough to it.
Yeah, and also the fact that her best friend has a crush on her, and what's his name? Geez, I'm trying to find him here in the credits. They're not even getting
Bruno Corelli. Matt Linz plays him.
Yes. Okay. And he's trying to show that he cares for her, but she's into him for his math.
She's into him for his math. I like that. Yeah. I like that.
She loves his brain.
Yeah.
He's got a great personality. All of these. I'll be here all the week. But
right.
But the first tall, swarthy-looking good guy shows up. She's on to the next one.
And then she runs into a string of them. So it's like
just all these handsome young guys.
Yeah.
I like the guy from. I like the leader of the Red Daggers.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah,
I hope he's, spoiler, not actually dead.
No, yeah. He's, first of all,
I hope not.
Yeah, he fell, he got stabbed on the shoulder and just fell and was knocked out.
Yeah.
And they're saying he's gone. He's not gone.
Look, if Reva can survive 2 lightsaber skewerings, he can survive a little knife.
Exactly. I mean, you know, come on. I mean, he's part of the Red Daggers, and he had a scar, so he's seen some action. That was
he was good.
And that was cool how he threw the daggers to, and spoiler, but you know.
Well, he made the choice to do that for them, knowing something would happen to him. Like, you could see that hesitation, the calculation, yes, this is worth it.
The sacrifice, absolutely.
No, it was just such great staging. You could see so much in such a short time.
And again, I liked just the chase scenes, and you know, and I also like the journey of her discovering her powers and using them with more confidence.
Yes,
and actually just weaponizing her skill set when she first throws the energy punch, the extendo fist or whatever you want to call it.
Extendo fist.
Her go-go gadget arms. And then when she's fighting the guy, she's using her platforms like well. I thought that was a significant jump from when she dropped that kid off the. You know,
that was very much, again, like there's some similarities there with Obi-Wan, where you show him kind of learning and remembering she's growing every time she uses it. Every time she's put into place, she has a more capable range of skill sets and stuff. And it's very natural feeling. And look, I buy it. I buy that, like, she's not spectacular. She's not winning every time, but she's growing every time, and that's clear to see. And she's impressing. Yeah.
And again, I love the journey of the discovery, self-discovery, and I also loved the dance number at the wedding.
Yeah, that was great.
That
was. Look, you want to talk about dance numbers at weddings? Like, that was perfect.
And I've recently gotten into some of the Bollywood films.
Oh, we need to start doing some of those because I've got a list. Believe me.
Done, and done. Let me ask you this, and I probably know the answer, but have you seen RRR?
I have not yet.
Caught that at the Alamo again.
Okay,
not a sponsor, but
okay.
And this is how I know I need to get into this. You know. Now that I've discovered it, it apparently has some value. But but I'm watching it, and there are characters, they come on screen or they do and obviously there's some sort of a big history to these characters that I've never seen in any, because again, I'm dumb American. I've never really enjoyed these specific films, and the crowd that I'm watching it in the theater with are going crazy. Yeah. Like, it's almost like if Brad Pitt were to walk on the screen, or somebody were to take off a mask.
Bigger than. Hollywood is 1 billion people strong or more.
100%.
Like, it's bigger than Brad Pitt.
Well, and that's the thing is, I know. See, the Alamo doesn't really show a lot of quote unquote. I don't think RR is technically a Bollywood film, but it does have the dance numbers and it's musical. And I learned it's not a because I didn't want to just call it Bollywood, because of the casting and the music, because there are different types of these films. So I'm being accurate when I say it's not an actual Bollywood film, but it has a lot of the same beats as one.
Well, there are what I want to say. God, I'm blanking now, but I want to say there are like 8, maybe 7 or 8 different kind of.
Yes.
Some are Bollywood, some are Hindu. This one in particular is a Telugu, I believe.
Yes. Exactly.
Like there's so many different, because again, India is so large and that area is so large. There's lots of different subgenres, as you will. That's the kind of it's easy to say Bollywood again is just an American over here.
It's a catch-all.
It's a catch-all. But in point of fact, there's a lot of nuance between a lot of those different films, and I don't typically, again, of the films that I like, I don't typically tend to watch a lot of the Telugu ones, but yeah, I mean, that would be interesting to check out.
I tell you what, you got to watch it. We got to do a show on it. I want to immerse myself in this lovely filmmaking. Because a lot of it is so ridiculous in regards to physics and I've seen YouTube videos of these action ones and I forget the one of the guy, but he has like a white stripe in his hair and he's like an android man, and a whole bunch of them get together and make like a big robot.
There are plenty of sci-fi ones if you want sci-fi. There are plenty of historical ones. One of my favorites is Lagan. It was a 2001 Hindi language film with what was it? Amir Khan was the starring one in that, and it was all about, basically, from what I remember, a kind of an Indian British cricket kind of match and stuff, and the British actor, you would probably remember him. He was in what was he in? He was in a number of things. He was in Arrow. He had his own series for a while, which was on the Sci-Fi Channel. This is way back now. This was what was it called? Crap, I forget what. Dresden Files. That's right. He was in the Dresden Files for a season when it ran. Paul Blackthorne. He was in it, which was fantastic. He's just a lovely, lovely actor that I just love. But yeah, Lagan was absolutely tremendous. I love the Doom, DHOOM series.
I've seen that title. I've seen that title card.
The first one is okay, but 2 and 3 are just spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. I loved the hell out of those, the second and third. They were just absolutely, everything was worth it. And that actually led me to a number of the ones. And unfortunately, I'm gonna butcher his name because I cannot necessarily pronounce it. But Hrithik Roshan, he and his father, I guess, who was also a big producer and kind of director of movies, have done a whole bunch of films and things. So I saw him in, it was Doom 2, I believe. And then his career had a whole bunch of others that were just some actually really fun remakes of American movies. There was one he did, and I'm gonna blank on what it was now, but he's just a fantastic actor.
I'll tell you what, we got to make a list of all these.
Oh, right. You remember Tom Cruise, Night and Day?
Yes. Wait. Yes. With Cameron.
Cameron Diaz. Yes. Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
He did a movie in. It was a 2014 movie, Indian, called Bang Bang, and it was essentially a remake of Night and Day in like a Hindi language action comedy film.
All right.
I liked it better than I liked Night and Day, and I've seen them both. Like, it was fantastic. And
Night and Day,
so good. You didn't have much to go on there, but
yeah, I have to. And again, I'm not trying to say anything about Tom Cruise, but I've never seen him, maybe with the exception of Jerry Maguire, and that's stretching it.
Yeah,
in a romantic role that I've ever really appreciated. And not saying that he can't pull one off, but it's just I think he's better at just running and doing stunts and breaking his ankles.
Yeah. But I mean, this remake of it was one of the top grossing Bollywood films of 2014 when it came out.
Well,
it was really good. Like, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
First of all, we can do some watch parties on our senior channel. RRR, for just so you know, was on Netflix right now.
Oh, well, then I'll check that out soon.
There you go. And
all right.
And definitely everybody out there, if you have a recommendation in regards to any type of film, any genre, but definitely something that you think is underrepresented in these kinds of channels, love to talk about them. Love to take on new categories and subjects and chew it up. All I will say is that I was woefully uneducated to the source material when I was watching RRR, because as I'm watching it, and there's like introducing these characters, the crowd, which was not a big crowd in the audience. It was a decent crowd, but it wasn't like packed. But they were fans of the genre and these actors, and they were going crazy when certain characters were revealed. And I'm just like, okay, I guess this is a celebrity that I've just never even heard about, and it was just, and the action scenes were so insane, and like there's scenes where a guy is fighting a tiger. It's just, they're not grounded at all. That's the best way to say it. They're enjoyably, completely ungrounded action scenes. There's literally a scene where a guy on a motorcycle starts swinging it like a bat, and you're just like, but by the time they get to that point, you're like, fine, sure,
right. Do it.
Because apparently he unleashed some energy from the history of his people, and it just motivated him so much that he started whacking people with a motorcycle. So
that's awesome.
It was awesome, and I will. We definitely got to get that on our fast track, because if you can check it out over the next holiday weekend or something like that, it definitely worthwhile.
Awesome.
Discussing it, and I got to catch up on The Boys. I also got to catch up on Westworld, and
I still wish you could check out Orville. So that one in particular, like, look, the first 2 seasons on Fox were like you would expect a Seth MacFarlane live action series on Fox. Slapstick, raw,
that's right,
dick jokes, etc. But holy goodness, I did not expect the reinvention of it on Hulu that I've seen. There's still some comedy, but they tackle suicide, they tackle politics, they tackle all sorts of just really, really deep stuff in a way that good sci-fi can attack it in a detached sort of way. It's an entirely different show than the first 2 seasons that I saw, and I like the first 2 seasons that I saw. For a long time, it was Star Trek as close as I could get without Star Trek. Without Star Trek being there. Now, look, we have Strange New Worlds, which is absolutely unbelievably epic. I can't even tell you how amazing it is to see the Enterprise in the light that it is, to hear the music, to see, a young Uhura and a young Spock, and, Anson Mount's Christopher Pike, which has just literally become my favorite Star Trek captain of all time. End of story.
Really?
Yes. He surpassed everybody in what he's been able to show and do on screen. Like, if you lined all of them up, it would be hard between him and Janeway, but I would probably go with him.
All right.
That's incredible. Picard season 2 gave what you don't often feel like you get closures for a character, but the closure Picard season 2 gave for John Delancey's Q that he's been playing for over 30 years, brought me to tears.
All right.
Just incredible. So we've got great Star Trek. Discovery season 1, I will still lambast until the end of time, but 2, 3, and 4 have been epic. 4 was one of the best. Do you remember Amy Adams and I'm going to say Hawkeye because it's just that late, in Arrival?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. And then McAdams,
basically
Lois Lane. Yeah,
Lois Lane and Hawkeye in Arrival. Right. Star Trek Discovery season 4 was one of the best long form first contact, like with an entirely different species. Like obviously there was some common ground, but no real I've ever seen in my entire life. It was a series long Arrival that I think did better than Arrival, because Arrival had to rely on time travel crap at the end. Discovery season 4 was just the pinnacle of the stories that Star Trek can tell. It was incredible. So we've got great Star Trek now, but before we had great Star Trek, Orville was there. in that kind of potty humor, but optimistic.
And it's a parody of Star Wars. It's not in
it's a parody of sorts of Star Trek, but
Star Trek. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All credit to him. Seth MacFarlane built out a solid universe. They told stories that were, even in season 2, were essentially transgender rights stories. They told stories that were, just plain sci-fi. They told ones that hinged on dick jokes. I mean, he had a range there, but like...
Well, he's been writing comics his entire life and stories,
yes.
Obviously potty humor and comedies, but that's been his thing for 30 years.
Right. And seasons 1 and 2 did that, but season 3 is just, if this was kind of the potty humor, this is where it is. There's still humor.
Right.
There's still realism to the characters. There's still, the whole, why can't I bring my coffee mug on the job when your job just happens to be flying the ship? Or, you need to go take him out and get laid because that's what he needs. But at the same time, that's something somebody would say at work. Like, give or take that sort of thing.
A little bit of kind of like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, a little more Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
But again, just telling some stories that are just... The entire first episode was about suicide. How it affects the people who are left behind, the links people would go to get it back, the reasons, the purposes, the feelings, the motivations. Like
this is Orville, right?
This is Orville. That hit and hurt hard and came out of nowhere. Because, look, I know that they subtitled season 3 New Horizons, but New Horizons is right. Holy crap. Like, it's incredible what they've been able to do on Hulu.
All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna put up a graphic, and we're gonna list all of these shows. So, and again, you at home, play along. Okay, so we got Orville.
Got Orville.
We got Picard.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. Now that's the name of the show?
That's the name of the show. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, yes.
Okay. Strange New Worlds. Now let's throw in some of mine.
All right.
To keep The Boys, which again is total parody of Justice League, but with a very dark, cynicism and vulgarity. It's produced by Seth Rogen, so there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, Westworld.
Okay.
Yeah. And what else is coming?
I'm going to throw Reacher in there if you haven't seen the first season of Reacher yet.
I've heard good things about Reacher.
Very good things. Not just the attractiveness of that man, because, look, he's not exactly... They didn't exactly hire him because he didn't look a certain way. But the story, the characters, the banter, the dialogue, like, it's definitely got us in... my wife and I in like it's on our list regularly.
It's funny because and again I'd never watched this, but wasn't he in one of those Gladiator series before he got to Reacher? He must have been, because on Showtime or one of those.
He could have been. I don't remember seeing him in anything else, though. Yes, with his particular physique, I would imagine he could have been in, any one of those. Alan Ritchson, I guess.
Yep, Alan Ritchson. Okay, I'm looking him up right now.
Yeah.
He was in Ninja Turtles. He was in Hunger Games.
It was Raphael in Ninja Turtles. There you go.
That's too big to be a turtle.
He was Aquaman in Smallville.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow. Supergirl, Turkey Bowl, Office Uprising, Blood Drive. Yeah, I could have sworn he was one of those guys running around. He just looks like he has his shirt off a lot. That's the reason.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what? He was in Titans. He was Hawk in Titans.
I never saw Titans. Okay, the TV series.
You never saw that on HBO?
No. Honestly, I thought you were thinking. I thought you were saying Clash of the Titans. No.
No. Titans, the nightly.
Yeah, the DC.
The DC one. Yeah.
All right, no.
I saw the first season of that. That was good. I've been wanting to catch kind of the second and the rest, but
you know, I think what happened is I saw the first episode and I saw Starfire. Is it Starfire? Dressed up as, let's just say, a Lady of the Night, and I just wasn't. I was like, nope, I'm out. You know, I just, you know, and again, it was probably a whole reveal that I missed and all that. Yeah, just there are too many shows, and if you don't grab me,
too many shows. No argument there.
If you don't grab me in the first episode, I'm pretty much gone, and it's hard too because it's, you know, story building. Sometimes you have to do you know, a slower introduction, but I'm sorry if you're competing with the boys, where in the first 5 minutes somebody literally becomes soup, and it's based on the premise. And again, I'm not trying to, you know, glorify the violence of it, but it doesn't ground superheroes, but what it does is it adds consequence to like the collateral damage of superheroes. And what if there were superheroes? They'd be sponsored by corporations and running their own movie network, and so it's an interesting it's an interesting play on it. So that's okay. So we got Orville, we got Picard, we got Strange New Worlds, The Boys, Reacher. I will still say Westworld. I want to see that new season.
Okay. We started Halo.
What is that on?
That is on Paramount Plus.
All right.
I did.
See, I don't know. I mean, I know of the game, but I've never played the game. So
look, I'm not saying it's the show that broke the curse of video game shows or video game movies, but I will say I've been entertained by it. I was never a big console gamer. I was always more of a computer gamer, for as much as I ever had time to play games. So I never really got into it too much. So I don't know how much of the lore that it makes up, fills in, bastardizes, or recreates. But I feel like I get a sense of the universe from the show, and it's an interesting one to be in. So we've been enjoying Halo. Again, not as much as, you know, Obi-Wan or some of the newer stuff, but that's definitely one that we saw the first 4. I think there's only 8 or so, and we definitely need to, it's on our list to go back and continue finishing that one out.
Super cool. All right. It's on the list. I will give you one.
Okay.
There's the series of Love, Death, and Robot.
Yes.
You know, this season has some, and again, these are like 11-minute clip, shorts, vignettes. There is one that visually, and you know, I was always trying to push Arcane.
Yes.
Which I still say is one of the best animated story arcs. You know, arcs within arcs. 3 arcs within an overall arc. And this is on Netflix. So
definitely.
But there's one specific show you can see of all the episodes. It's called Jibaro, Jibaro.
Okay.
And if I could just tell you the synopsis of it, it's about a siren song that will not work on a deaf night, and the siren becomes fascinated with him, but he's driven by properties that she has. So, but visually, and I will tell you this: you need to, if you see the trailer, if you just type in YouTube Jibaro, Love, Death, and Robots, you'll see the visual stylings of this, and it's like nothing I'd ever seen. It's on a level that I don't even know how you would make a movie like this. It seems like they've used some sort of a photorealistic rendering that they put over top of a. Remember back in the old days where you would have like this polygon body, and they would just like the first Star Wars games, and then they just stamp a photo of somebody's face on it.
Yep.
This, like GoldenEye. There you go.
GoldenEye. There you go. Sure.
This is like GoldenEye's great grandson of software.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're looking at a picture of it online right now, but the siren, first of all, it's in
interesting.
It looks like it's shot in like Central America or somebody. Yeah. And it's the conquistadors that are coming to pillage gold. And I don't want to give too much about it. I mean, it's definitely a tale of love and betrayal. And there's the imagery, Logan, though. The visuals of this are just jaw-dropping, and how they depict him, the night is death. Mm-hmm. But the visuals of how her siren song works on people.
Oh, interesting.
It's jaw-dropping. And again, it's like 11 minutes long, but it is just definitely something to see. And also, one of the things that for all of you that follow our channel, obviously we have social platforms across the board. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter. But because there's so many shows and so many movies, we don't have the bandwidth to literally just do reviews of them all. But we will probably start doing more infograph reviews of them. You've seen some of them we have where it gives you just like a quick scoring of different aspects of it. So you can get like in like 30 seconds, you can see what we score it, but why we score it that way without having to listen to us prattle on. But yeah, that is definitely one I'm highly recommending. And there's other good ones too. There's one based on a sea crew, old school Jack Sparrow type stuff, Pirates of the Caribbean type deal. I mean, again, the thing that I love about Love, Death, and Robots is they have basically made a platform for just these avant-garde artists to come, and it's basically just these highly produced shorts that you can produce because it's so concentrated, and it's within budget that people can put together and just showcase their skills. But all of them are good in one aspect or another. But this one, I've never seen anything like it. And you know how I always give points for originality.
Yeah.
When you see the visual motion captured and the audio, the sound design.
Cool.
We got to talk about it. And,
all right. I will check that specific one out. Yeah.
Yeah. So now what else do we have that is good? And yeah, this is the list. I'm going to add Titans to it since you brought it up.
Yeah, sure.
Titans.
Yep.
All right. Orville, Picard, Strange New Worlds, The Boys, Reacher, Westworld.
Did you ever watch all of Invincible? The animated one on Amazon?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay.
I mean, I saw like a lot of them, but I kind of glossed over it. I liked it. And again, that's done by the creator of Walking Dead.
Yes, it is.
Kirkland or something.
Yeah.
Okay. It was good. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Invincible.
The other one, it took a while to get into it. It's coming back in the second half of this year sometime. I don't know exactly when, but it's the second season of Warrior Nun.
Warrior Nun?
Warrior Nun on Netflix. Yes. It's an international film, I guess. What was it? Where was it made?
Oh, all right.
It's a slow burn to start. Like the first 5 to 7 episodes are a little slow to get through, but it's very much a supernatural religious kind of a show. It ends up with a really, really interesting twist on how things go, and it kind of left you like, I have to see where this is going. Like, it left you on such a cliffhanger that I've been probably Googling monthly for when season 2 is coming out.
All right, it's on the list. Yeah, Warrior Nun, 2020. It is a drama. Quick synopsis says, a young woman wakes up in a morgue with inexplicable powers and gets caught up in a battle between good and evil. So
That is a very, very rough description of it, and that works enough.
Yeah,
I think it was mostly shot in Spain. It's very Spain or Europe somewhere for sure.
Right. I like that already. I love like the European take on things. Speaking of which, they are coming out with not only a second season of Squid Games, but they're coming out with a Korean version of Money Heist.
Ha! Nice.
Yeah, I see the universes, coming together. Yeah. But so those will be coming out, and definitely want to talk about those. But anyway, I think that is a good list.
Yeah.
At least for this week, and we'll come back and definitely do a discussion on the end of Miss Marvel, because again, I love her so much as a character, and just the actresses. I mean, she just steals my heart when I see her smile and just her.
And I can't wait to see her in the Marvels.
What now? Wait a second. The Marvels, is that in a movie?
It's Captain Marvel 2, essentially.
Oh, really?
But yeah, she's going to be in that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness yet?
It just came out on Disney Plus, so it's on my list in the next couple days. Yeah.
All right. We might have to start, and I know time is hard, with scheduling and all, but
it is.
I would love to start doing some watch parties and on our CNR channel, just so everybody knows that you can find us on scener.com/binge theory, where we can do watch parties and listen to your lovely comments live. So, but it's always good when we have more than a couple of us on. Maybe we'll do like some audio commentary, like Mystery Science Theater 3000, that type of stuff. But those of our younger audience, that was a show in which robots that were stranded in space with a custodian talked at the screen during the entire movie, and it was the best thing we had in the 90s. So there you go.
There you go.
All right, my friend. Well, again, this was just a short show. It only ran for 2 hours.
Yeah, no, it's a quickie, real quick one.
Exactly. But again, thanks so much, Logan, for hanging out and shopping up all these great new movies. It's been a while, and
it has.
We're getting back into the rhythm of things. It's summertime, so a lot of blockbusters. On another show, I definitely want to talk about Top Gun, and just this machine that is Tom Cruise, because Top Gun recently just passed the $1 billion mark for
really
Universal box office. I did not know this. This is Tom Cruise's first $1 billion movie.
Huh.
And you would think, because with all of the Mission Impossibles and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say that probably this is the one that the new generation and the 80s generation had to see. Okay. But the older generation doesn't have to see Mission Impossible, and the newer ones don't. But again, I will just say this for Top Gun: it's worth the admittance. The price of admittance.
Admission.
Thank you. Wow.
You're welcome.
It's worth the price of admission, and I will say this: that schlock aside, and actually schlock, because the schlock is not bad because it doesn't distract you from what this movie's about, which is awesome. Aerial, dogfighting. It's just an amazing. It's an amazing show. I took a friend to see it the other day, and she was like really a fan of the original one.
Yeah.
And did not disappoint.
Nice.
She loved it to death, and it's, again, Tom Cruise. I mean, he might as well be buying stock in Just for Men hair dye, because there is not a gray hair on that 50-some-year-old head of his, and it's very suspect. But hey, it's Tom Cruise. Maybe it's the Scientology, maybe it's Maybelline. He looks great. He looks great. I don't know what team he has working on him, but I got to get some of those routines going. Anyway, everybody out there, thanks again so much for watching our show. It was a long one, but we had a lot of stuff to catch up on. Be sure and enjoy your summer. taking some good movies. You know, it gets hot out there, so you can find some refuge in the solace of a nice cold theater. Be sure to take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. And as always, if it's worthwhile, it is worth binging.